Hello, my name is Javier Cruz. I chose the article of how do interpersonal relationships relieve adolescents, problematic mobile phone use, the roles of loneliness and motivation to use mobile phones. The gap in literature in my article, it talks about how many adolescents are feeling loneliness and are more motivated to use their phone because that's the only way they feel like they are alone, but it doesn't cover it up. The purpose statement: the current study aimed to explore underlying mechanism of how interpersonal relationships relieve adolescents' problematic mobile phone use and examine potential mitigating roles of loneliness and motivation to use mobile phones. Intensive research approach design. The parent-child relationship was significantly related to loneliness, escape motivation, relationship motivation, and PMPU. The teacher-student relationship was also significant associated with the other measure except for relationship motivation. Loneliness had a significant relationship with the other measures except for relationship motivation. Both escape and relationship motivate had significant and positive relationship with PMPU. The type of study in my article is cross-sectional, retrospective, and prospective. The procedures in my article is historical, descriptive, and experimental. The methods in my article are quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods. The format reviewer is Shirley Cortez and Katia Nunez. My peacock question is: how are adolescent interpersonal relationship with other while not being on their phone? Or how do they act with other people and the relationship with other good and bad due to use of phones? Information about my article. Many teenagers are addicted to the use of phones, and some can't live without it for 3 minutes. Some of the teenagers use their phone and are half the day because they feel lonely. My two hypotheses are this. The new hypothesis is the evidence suggested that loneliness may meditate the role of parent, child, teacher, and student in PNPU. My alternative hypothesis: we propose that parent, child, and teacher student relationship decrease relationship motivation and escape motivation to use mobile phone in turn relieve PMPU. To test the hypothesis slash data, to elevate adolescents' relationship motivation and escape motivation to use mobile phones, the establishment of positive interpersonal relationship in real life and positive parent-child and teacher-student relationship should be emphasized. Positive parent-child and teacher-student relationship can not only provide adolescents with warmth to and meet their needs for relatedness, but can also improve their social skills and thus increase their communication with others in the real world. In such ways, adolescents motivation to use phone to engage in virtual meditate communication can be decreased. The results in my article of teenagers using their phone can differ from others because some use their phone because they are really addicted to it and they don't see anything else except their phone. Some of the teenagers use phones because they have no real friends and they feel lonely. In conclusion, phones can bring adolescents to lose their motivation and bring them to loneliness. So when school teachers are concerned why teenagers are acting that way with other students and not interacting, and parents at home see the kids in his or her room all day using their phone, and they get worried. This is the population. The chart, I found it in my article. This is my sample. We firstly build a model to examine the direct prediction of parent, child, and teacher student relationship on PMPU. The results found that the model fit the data completely. And the parent child teacher relationship negatively predict PMPU. All that is in the article with the chart and everything. The main variable in the article, parents child relationship and teacher student relationship, loneliness, escapes motivation, relationship motivation, PMPU. And the social variable are grade, gender, school type, and family social economic status. My bias in research, the research makes sure that there's no bias by making a bias correct test. In this, they use indirect via loneliness, indirect via escape motivation, indirect via relationship motivation. They also test the combination of escape motivation and loneliness. Level of measurements in statistics and in my article are nominal, ordinal, interval, and racial. Nominal is a lower level that could be exclusive or exhaustive in referring to a qualitative or attribute is lonely names as examples of the will be gender, ethnicity, marital status, and medical diagnosis. Ordinal is an attribute that can be ordered and distant and meaningless, can also be categorized and rank. Examples of ordinal variables are acute pain, military rank, level of preference, and categories of the profession. Interval, the distance is the distance is meaningful. There is no absolute zero. Example of zero, Fahrenheit scale and centigrade scale. Racial is the highest form of measurement, which has absolute 0 point, whereas the zero property is absent. Examples of racial are blood pressure, pulse, respiration, weight, body mass index, and laboratory values. The finding of my articles. The findings show that the PMPU could be shown through the parent-child relationship, loneliness, relationship motivation, and escape motivation. Now, the teacher-student relationship can only show the PMPU and loneliness and escape motivation. The reference that are used are good reference. They are pieces that clearly support the research and are written by authorities that can be trusted in in what they are writing about in my article. And that's all I have.